In 2023, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese made a promise: 1.2 million new homes built across Australia by 2029. It was called the National Housing Accord. 2 years in, the numbers came back. Only 219,000 homes were built in the first 15 months of that plan. That's 81,000 fewer than the target required, a 27% shortfall, according to the Australian Bureau of Statistics. So today, we're breaking down what actually happened and why the country that promised to fix its housing crisis is now watching builders collapse faster than homes go up. Quick thing before we get into it. If you follow the Australian housing market, hit subscribe now. We break down stories like this every week, straight from the data, no spin.
Here's the simple version. Australia has a housing shortage. Prices are up, rents are up, and the government's answer was to build its way out of it. But the building isn't happening at the pace anyone promised. According to the National Housing Supply and Affordability Council, the country needed roughly 20,000 dwellings approved every single month just to stay on pace. In February 2026, only 17,570 got approved, below target again. The government says the pipeline is improving. Economists disagree, pointing out that approvals and actual completions are two very different things. But that's just one part of the story. Let's go through what's actually on the record. In the 2024-25 financial year, 3,490 construction firms in Australia entered insolvency. That's a record high, according to industry data reported by Architecture AU. 2 out of every 3 of those collapses involved small builders, 5 employees or fewer. In March 2025, Roberts Co's Victorian arm collapsed, walking away from 8 major projects, including work tied to Australia's largest Amazon warehouse. Losses on that one site alone topped $56 million. Back in 2023, Porter Davis Homes, one of the country's biggest home builders, went into liquidation with about 1,700 homes sitting half-built. The Victorian government had to step in with a support scheme just to help stranded homeowners. And these aren't isolated stories. RSM Australia, a national insolvency advisory firm, says the pattern keeps repeating. Builders signed fixed-price contracts back in 2020 and 2021 before costs spiked. By the time they were actually building, the contract price no longer covered the job. If that sounded bad, this next part hit even harder. Here's what the data shows, plainly. Construction costs are up roughly 40% over the past 5 years, according to the Productivity Commission. Residential build times have stretched by up to 80% over that same period. Dwelling approvals fell 1.1% in May 2026, down to 17,019 nationally, per the ABS. In April, approvals dropped 3.4%, driven mostly by a 13.8% fall in New South Wales alone. On the insolvency side, 1,793 construction firms collapsed in 2022. That jumped to 2,546 in 2023, a 42% increase. Then 3,217 in 2024, then 3,596 in the 2025 financial year. 4 years, 4 record numbers in a row. Meanwhile, the housing deficit itself, the gap between homes built and homes actually needed, sits somewhere between 200,000 and 300,000 dwellings, according to AMP chief economist Shane Oliver. Numbers don't lie, and these ones point in one direction. So why aren't builders just building? Part of it comes down to those fixed-price contracts. A builder who locked in a $450,000 price in 2021 might need $630,000 today to actually finish the same house. That gap doesn't disappear. It gets absorbed until the company runs out of cash. Part of it is labour. Skilled trade shortages have pushed wages up, and builders without hedging strategies get blindsided by cost-to-complete surprises mid-project, long after it's too late to renegotiate. And part of it is consumer protection, or the lack of it. In most states, deposits from homeowners go straight into general company accounts, not trust accounts. So when a builder collapses, that money is often just gone. The Australian Constructors Association has been pushing for rise and fall clauses, contracts that adjust automatically if material costs spike. Some states, like New South Wales and Queensland, allow versions of this. Victoria and Western Australia keep tighter restrictions. It's a patchwork, not a system. Now let's move to where this actually stands today. As of mid-2026, dwelling completions still haven't caught up with population growth. New dwelling commencements rose 11.6% year-on-year in the September 2025 quarter, which sounds promising, but given the 9 to 15-month lag between starting a house and finishing one, that improvement won't show up in completed homes until late 2026 at the earliest. The National Housing Supply and Affordability Council's own 2026 report says it plainly. The recent uptick in approvals has not yet translated into more completions. And there's a new wrinkle. Ongoing global supply disruptions are pushing fuel and material costs up again, right as builders sign new contracts. The Council's own modeling shows that if costs rise just 6% this year, completions could fall another 10,000 homes short by 2029. If costs rise 10%, that number climbs to 33,000. Master Builders Australia now forecasts the country could miss its 1.2 million target by 380,000 homes. This shift has every homeowner, renter, and investor watching closely.
The government set a number. The number sounded good in a press release, but you can't approve your way out of a housing crisis if the industry building the houses keeps going broke before the job is done. This is the story most headlines miss. It's not just about prices or interest rates. It's about whether the industry itself can survive long enough to build what the country needs. And right now, that answer is still very much up in the air. This is why homeowners, renters, and investors are all on edge, and why the next round of approvals data will matter more than usual. If you found this useful, let me know in the comments what part of the housing market you want covered next. I read all of them.